Avengers: Infinity War is a 2018 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team The Avengers. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to The Avengers, 2012, and Avengers: Age of Ultron, 2015, and the 19th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe (MCU). Directed by Anthony and Joe Russo and written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the film features an ensemble cast including Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Benedict Cumberbatch, Don Cheadle, Tom Holland, Chadwick Boseman, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Danai Gurira, Letitia Wright, Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana, Josh Brolin, and Chris Pratt. In the film, the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy attempt to prevent Thanos from collecting the 6 all-powerful Infinity Stones as part of his quest to kill half of all life in the universe. The film was announced in October 2014 as Avengers: Infinity War, Part 1. The Russo brothers came on board to direct in April 2015. And a month later Marcus and McFeely had signed on to write the script for the film, which draws inspiration from Jim Starlin's 1991 comic book The Infinity Gauntlet and Jonathan Hickman's 2013 comic book Infinity. In 2016, Marvel shortened the title to Avengers: Infinity War. Filming began in January 2017 at Pinewood Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia, with a large cast consisting mostly of actors reprising their roles from previous MCU films, including Brolin as Thanos. The production lasted until July 2017, shooting back-to-back with a direct sequel, Avengers: Endgame, 2019. Additional filming took place in Scotland, the downtown Atlanta area, and New York City. With an estimated budget of $325 minus $400 million, the film is one of the most expensive films ever made. Avengers: Infinity War premiered in Los Angeles on April 23, 2018, and was released in the United States on April 27, as part of Phase 3 of the MCU. The film received praise for Brolin's performance, visual effects, action sequences, and emotional weight, but the film was criticized for relying on previous MCU films for its story. The film was the 4th film and the first superhero film to gross over $2 billion worldwide, breaking numerous box office records, and becoming the highest-grossing film of 2018 and the 4th highest-grossing film of all time both worldwide and in the United States and Canada. The film's visual effects were nominated at the 91st Academy Awards, 24th Critics' Choice Awards, and 72nd British Academy Film Awards. The sequel, Avengers: Endgame, was released in April 2019. Having acquired the Power Stone, one of the 6 Infinity Stones from the planet Xandar, Thanos and his lieutenants, Ebony Maw, Cull Obsidian, Proxima Midnight, and Corvus Glaive, intercept the spaceship carrying the survivors of Asgard's destruction. N1. After subduing Thor, Thanos extracts the Space Stone from the Tesseract, overpowers the Hulk, and kills Loki. Thanos also kills Heimdall after he sends Hulk to Earth using the Bifrost. Thanos and his lieutenants leave, destroying the ship. Hulk crash lands in the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York City, reverting to the form of Bruce Banner. He warns Stephen Strange and Wong about Thanos's plan to destroy half of all life in the universe, and they recruit Tony Stark. Maw and Obsidian arrive to retrieve the Time Stone from Strange, drawing Peter Parker's attention. Maw is unable to take the Time Stone due to an enchantment and captures Strange instead. Stark and Parker sneak aboard Moore's spaceship while Wong stays behind to guard the sanctum. In Edinburgh, Midnight and Glaive ambush Wanda Maximoff and Vision to retrieve the Mind Stone in Vision's forehead. Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, and Sam Wilson rescue them, and they take shelter with James Rhodes and Banner at the Avengers compound. Vision asks Maximoff to destroy him and the Mind Stone to keep Thanos from retrieving it. But Maximoff refuses. Rogers suggests they travel to Wakanda, which he believes has the resources to remove the stone without killing Vision. The Guardians of the Galaxy respond to a distress call from the Asgardian ship and rescue Thor, who surmises that Thanos is going after the Reality Stone, which Tanalir Tivan possesses on Nowhere. Thor travels with Rocket and Groot to Nidavellir to enlist the aid of the Dwarf King Eitri in creating a powerful weapon, the Battle-Axe Stormbreaker, while Peter Quill, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis travel to Nowhere, and they find Thanos with the Reality Stone already in his possession. Thanos kidnaps Gamora, who discloses the Soul Stone's location to save Nebula from torture. On Vormir, the stone's keeper, Red Skull, tells Thanos that he can only acquire it by sacrificing someone he loves. Thanos kills Gamora, earning the stone. Nebula escapes captivity and asks the remaining Guardians to meet her on Thanos's destroyed homeworld, Titan. Stark and Parker kill Moore and rescue Strange. Landing on Titan, they meet Quill, Drax, and Mantis. Strange uses the Time Stone to view millions of possible futures, seeing only one in which the Avengers win. The group formulates a plan to subdue Thanos and remove the Infinity Gauntlet, which he uses to safely house the stones. Thanos appears and justifies his plans as necessary to guarantee the survival of a universe threatened by overpopulation. Nebula arrives soon after and helps the others subdue Thanos until she deduces that Thanos has killed Gamora. Enraged, Quill attacks Thanos, inadvertently allowing him to break the group's hold and overpower them. Thanos grievously wounds Stark, but spares him in exchange for the Time Stone, at Strange's request. In Wakanda, Rogers reunites with Bucky Barnes before Thanos's army invades. The Avengers, along with T'Challa and the Wakandan forces, mount a defense while Shuri works to extract the Mind Stone from Vision. Unable to summon the Hulk after losing his fight with Thanos, Banner fights in Stark's Hulkbuster armor. Thor, Rocket, and Groot arrive to reinforce the Avengers, and together they kill Midnight, Obsidian, and Glaive. The invading army routs, but Shuri is unable to complete the extraction before Thanos arrives. Maximoff destroys the Mind Stone and Vision, but Thanos uses the Time Stone to reverse her actions and rips the repaired Mind Stone from Vision's forehead, killing him. Thor severely wounds Thanos with Stormbreaker, but Thanos activates the completed gauntlet by snapping his fingers before teleporting away. Half of all life across the universe disintegrates, including Barnes, T'Challa, Groot, Maximoff, Wilson, Mantis, Drax, Quill, Strange, Parker, Maria Hill, and Nick Fury. Though Fury is able to send an emergency signal on a modified pager, N2, Stark and Nebula remain stranded on Titan while Banner, M'Baku, Okoye, Rhodes, Rocket, Rogers, Romanoff, and Thor are left on the Wakandan battlefield. Meanwhile, Thanos watches a sunrise on a peaceful planet. The leader and benefactor of the Avengers, who is a self-described genius, billionaire, playboy, and philanthropist with electromechanical suits of armor of his own making, 6, 7, Co-director Joe Russo explained that Stark senses this greater threat approaching. So he is doing everything in his power to keep the Earth safe. 8. Downey added that Stark has smaller goals than in previous films. 9. Chris Hemsworth is Thor, an Avenger and the King of Asgard. Based on the Norse mythological deity of the same name. 10. Joe Russo stated that Thor's storyline picks up after the events of Thor, Ragnarok, 2017, which finds him in a very profound, very interesting place, with real emotional motivation. 11. At the recommendation of Hemsworth, writers Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely consulted Thor Ragnarok director Taika Waititi and screenwriter Eric Pearson to help carry over the comedic and tragic elements of the retoned Thor from that film. 12. Joe Russo said that Thor has the driving hero's arc of the movie, which stands in direct opposition to Thanos's argument, and would have been the main protagonist of the film had Thor killed Thanos. 13. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, an Avenger and genius scientist who, because of exposure to gamma radiation, typically transforms into a monster when enraged or agitated. 14. 15. Banner spends the film trying to reintegrate with the Avengers and impress upon everybody how dangerous Thanos is. 16. Joe Russo felt the Hulk refusing to appear for much of the film was only partially because he was scared, but also because he realizes that Banner only wants Hulk for fighting. I think he's had enough of saving Banner's ass. Russo added that this was really reflective of the journey from Ragnarok, where these two characters are constantly in conflict with each other over control. 17. Banner's appearance in the film continues a story arc for the character that was established in Thor Ragnarok and concludes in Avengers Endgame. 18. With the difference between Hulk and Banner starting to blur a little bit. Ruffalo described Hulk in Infinity War as having the mental capacity of a 5-year-old. 16. Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, a highly trained spy, member of Rogers's faction of Avengers, and former agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. 22. Johansson said that Romanoff's situation following Captain America: Civil War has been a dark time. I wouldn't say that my character has been particularly hopeful, but I think she's hardened even more than she probably was before. 23. Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange, a former neurosurgeon who, after a car accident that led to a journey of healing, discovered the hidden world of magic and alternate dimensions and became a master of the mystic arts. 24. Marcus and McFeely described Strange as ending up being the reasonable adult in the room, with the widest perspective available. 25. Julian J. Funk Daniels once again assisted Cumberbatch with his finger-tutting movements. 26. Don Cheadle as James Rhodey Rhodes, the king of the African nation of Wakanda who gained his enhanced strength by ingesting the heart-shaped herb. 22. 30. Bozeman, along with the other actors from Black Panther, 2018, portraying Wakandans, improvised their war chants on set ahead of the battle in Wakanda. Despite both Black Panther and Infinity War filming at the same time, the Russos were not aware of the chants, as they had not yet seen footage from Black Panther, and felt the moment was incredibly cool. 31. Paul Bettany as Vision, an android and Avenger created using the artificial intelligence JARVIS, Ultron, and the Mind Stone. 24. Anthony Russo called Vision a living MacGuffin, his life being in direct conflict with Thanos's quest, which raises the stakes. 23. Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, a member of the Guardians and warrior in search of vengeance against Thanos for killing his family. 24. At the end of each day of filming, Bautista would have to sit in a sauna to remove his makeup. 41. Zoe Saldana as Gamora, a member of the Guardians who is an orphan from an alien world and was subsequently raised by Thanos, and is seeking redemption for her past crimes. 42. Ariana Greenblatt portrays a young Gamora. 43. Vin Diesel as Groot, a member of the Guardians who is a tree-like humanoid. 44. Executive producer James Gunn explained that Groot is still an adolescent in the film, in the same state of growth seen in one of the post-credit scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. 45. Terry Notary provided motion capture for Groot, and said the character is coming of age, so you'll see the teenager find a mentor to look up to and to model himself after. 46. Bradley Cooper as Rocket, a member of the Guardians who is a genetically engineered raccoon-based bounty hunter, mercenary, and master of weapons and battle tactics. 47. Sean Gunn was again the stand-in for Rocket during filming, with his acting and expressions serving as motion reference for the character. 48. 49. Gwyneth Paltrow as Virginia, Pepper Potts, Stark's fiancée and the CEO of Stark Industries. 50. Downey felt that Pepper remains the heart of the Iron Man story, which was not a focal point in some of the preceding films with Stark. Downey continued that, "We wanted to get back to that reality. Not just for them. But let's really see how that can add to the something worth fighting for of it all." 9. Benicio del Toro as Tanalir Tivan, the half-human, half-celestial leader of the Guardians who was abducted from Earth as a child and raised by a group of alien thieves and smugglers called the Ravagers. 32. Pratt described his role in the film as a guest star appearance and said, "You get to be a little more vibrant, a little more irreverent, a little bit more colorful if you want it to be." 61. Additionally, several other actors reprise their MCU roles. Danai Gurira as Okoye, the head of the Dora Milaje. 62. Letitia Wright as T'Challa's sister Shuri. 63. William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross, the U.S. Secretary of State. 64. Kerry Condon as the voice of Stark's AI, Friday. 65. Winston Duke as M'Baku, the leader of Wakanda's mountain tribe the Jabari. Florence Kasumba as Ao, a member of the Dora Milaje. 66. Jacob Batalon as Parker's friend Ned. 67. Isabella Amara as Parker's classmate Sally. 68. Tiffany Espenson as Parker's classmate Cindy. 69. And Ethan Dizon as Parker's classmate Tiny. 69. Samuel L. Jackson and Kobe Smulders make uncredited cameos as Nick Fury and Maria Hill, the former director and deputy director of S.H.I.E.L.D., respectively, in the film's post-credits scene. 70. Thanos's henchmen, known collectively in the comics as the Black Order and in the film as the Children of Thanos. 71. Include Terry Notary as Cull Obsidian. 72. 73. Tom Vaughan Lawler as Ebony Maw. 74. 75. Carrie Coon as Proxima Midnight. 73. And Michael James Shaw as Corvus Glaive. 76. The foursome provided voices and motion capture performances on set for their characters. 77. 76. As Coon was pregnant during filming, she mainly did facial capture for Proxima Midnight with some motion capture. 78. With stuntwoman Monique Ganderton standing in and providing the rest on set. 69. Ebony Maw's look was inspired by the Marvel Comics character Mephisto, who appeared in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. 79. Ross Marquand voices Johann Schmidt. In October 2014, Marvel announced a two-part sequel to Avengers: Age of Ultron, titled Avengers: Infinity War. Part 1 was scheduled to be released on May 4, 2018, with Part 2 scheduled for May 3, 2019. 86. In April 2015, Marvel announced that Anthony and Joe Russo would direct both parts of Avengers: Infinity War. 87. With back-to-back filming expected to begin in 2016. 88. The next month, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely had signed on to write the screenplays for both parts of the film. 89. Which draws inspiration from Jim Starlin's 1991 The Infinity Gauntlet comic and Jonathan Hickman's 2013 Infinity comic. 90. Anthony Russo added the film was inspired by 1990s heist films, with Thanos on a smash and grab to acquire all of the Infinity Stones. 53. Producer Kevin Feige said the films were titled as two parts of a single film because of the shared elements between the films, but he felt they would be two distinct films, not one story split across two films. 91. In May 2016, the Russos revealed that they would retitle the two films. To further remove this misconception, 92. That July, Marvel revealed Part 1's title would be shortened to simply Avengers: Infinity War. Began on January 23, 2017. 94. Under the working title Mary Lou. 95. At Pinewood Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia. 96. With Trent Opalock as director of photography. 97. Infinity War, along with Avengers: Endgame, was shot using IMAX. In June 2016, Alan Silvestri, who composed the score for The Avengers, was revealed to be returning to score both Infinity War and Endgame. 115. Silvestri recorded his score from January 2018, 116, to late March, and found working on the film to be a really different experience than anything I'd done before, especially in regard to the approach and balancing quick shifts in tone. 117. Ludwig Göransson's theme from Black Panther is used in the film. 118. Hollywood Records and Marvel Music released regular and deluxe soundtrack albums digitally on April 27, 2018, with physical releases on May 18. The deluxe edition featured some extended and additional tracks. Marketing from left to right: Kevin Feige, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Chadwick Boseman, and Mark Ruffalo at the 2017 San Diego Comic-Con in May 2017. Robert Downey Jr. and his philanthropic organization Random Act Funding partnered with Omaze for a contest in which a randomly chosen winner from those that donated would receive an Infinity War set visit. 120. A life-sized statue of Thanos, created by Legacy Effects, was on display at D23 Expo 2017. 121. Alongside statues of the Black Order. To promote the film's first trailer, Marvel released a compilation video of some of its previous trailers since Iron Man 2008. Paired with fan reaction videos to those trailers, 130, the first trailer for Avengers: Infinity War debuted on Good Morning America on November 29, 2017. 131, Josh Spiegel of The Hollywood Reporter said, "The most important part of the trailer is how it carefully, deliberately introduces the notion that the Infinity War films are going to function as a passing of the torch, from one set of Avengers to a newer group." 132, Scott Mendelson, writing for Forbes, noted that even though the trailer was not much different from the convention footage screened earlier in the year, it was damn impressive. Additionally, the trailer had an excellent effect, using the Avengers Initiative speech by Nick Fury and the Avengers theme by Alan Silvestri from the Avengers. 133, conversely to Mendelson, Alexander commented on the different marketing strategy for the film between the convention footage scenes and the trailer scenes, feeling the two couldn't be more different. She said the convention footage, intended to please the crowd who were jittery with anticipation, was released between Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Thor: Ragnarok, and heavily focused Thor and the Guardians, while the trailer, designed to explain the film to general audiences, heavily features Black Panther and Wakanda, which Alexander said could not have been done before the additional marketing for Black Panther that happened after the conventions provided additional context. 134, Gail Cooper of CNET observed that the trailer was viewed nearly 500,000 times in its first 15 minutes after it was posted on YouTube, but questioned if the trailer broke the site after the view counter appeared to be stuck at 467,331. 135. The trailer was viewed 230 million times in its first 24 hours, becoming the most viewed trailer in that time period, surpassing the record of it. A second trailer was released on March 16, which earned over 1 million views on YouTube in less than 3 hours after it was released. 140, Alyssa Rosenberg of The Washington Post was not overly enthused about another superhero film having special effects heavy villains, or the sight of yet another mysterious object hanging over the Manhattan skyline, but felt the trailer made her realize that "I'm actually looking forward to seeing the characters of the MCU get to know each other." 141, Spiegel agreed with Rosenberg about the potential for character interactions, but felt it was gimmicky to have so many crossover-style introductions or combinations of heroes in a movie like this. 142, the second trailer was viewed 179 million times in the first 24 hours. The third most viewed trailer in that time period, behind the first trailer for the film and It, while also becoming the biggest release for a second trailer, surpassing Beauty and the Beast, 2017, 128 million views. 143, a week before the film's release, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai was lit up each night for the film, counting down to its release. 144, Marvel also featured tie-in events across 7 of their mobile games to promote the film. 145, in early May, Marvel and Epic Games announced the Infinity Gauntlet limited-time mashup mode for Fortnite Battle Royale, where players could find the Infinity Gauntlet hidden on the game map and become Thanos with added abilities. The Russo brothers were fans of Fortnite and approached Donald Mustard, the worldwide creative director of Epic Games, about the potential for a crossover between the properties. 146, on November 20, Little, Brown & Company published Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War. Thanos, Titan Consumed, written by Barry Liger. Despite not existing within Marvel Studios' MCU canon, the novel explores the origins of Thanos before the events of the film. Liger spoke with Marvel Studios to get an outline of who Thanos is and what he means to the movies, and was given great latitude and a free hand in some areas of the story, while in others I had to tiptoe very carefully through the MCU. All in all, the studio spent an estimated $150 million on prints and advertisements promoting the film. 2 additional marketing partners for the film included Coca-Cola, Quicken Loans and their Rocket Mortgage service, the Infiniti QX50, which appears in the film, Ziploc, Go-Gurt, Yoplait, Synchrony Bank, American Airlines, and Stand Up to Cancer. The partners created television commercials inspired by or featuring the film's characters and themes, interactive digital initiatives, and robust in-store presences at numerous retailers. Duracell, Unilever, Quaker Oats Company, Chevron, and Samsung ran promotions in smaller markets. Coca-Cola, Ziploc, Go-Gurt, and Yoplait created special packaging in support of the film, with Synchrony implementing a Save Like a Hero campaign, and Stand Up to Cancer and American Airlines launching a national campaign with a PSA starring Johansson and Hemsworth. In the United Kingdom, OnePlus released an Infinity War edition for one of their smartphones. Deadline Hollywood estimated the media value was $150 million, the largest for any Marvel film, with Coca-Cola contributing an estimated $40 million. 148. Release. Avengers: Infinity War held its world premiere at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles on April 23, 2018. Screening also at the adjacent El Capitan Theatre and Grauman's Chinese Theatre. 149, 150. It was released in most countries worldwide, including the United States, on April 27. With a few debuts beginning as early as April 25, 107, and was shown in IMAX and 3D on select screens. 151, 152. In the United States, the film opened in 4,474 theaters, 408 of which were IMAX. This was the widest release for a Disney title ever and the second widest ever after Despicable Me 3's 2017, 529 theaters. 3 of AMC Theaters' locations screened the film for 24 hours straight, with 53 of their locations having showtimes at either 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. to accommodate demand. 153. In India, the film had the biggest release ever for a Hollywood film, opening on nearly 2,000 screens in 4 languages. 154. The film also screened in 515 4DX theaters in 59 countries. 155. Avengers: Infinity War was originally scheduled to be released on May 4 in the United States. 86. The Chinese release of the film, which opened on May 11, 156, was originally scheduled to end on June 10, but was granted a rare extension of 30 days, to end on July 9. 157. Avengers: Infinity War is part of Phase 3 of the MCU. 158. Select footage from the film was screened in various cities during the film's press tour in early April, ahead of the Los Angeles premiere. The Russos said only a limited amount of the film would be shown at these screenings to reduce the chance of spoilers being leaked. Adam Chitwood of Collider commented that this was highly unusual as most Marvel movies are screened in their entirety for press about a month before they hit theaters, 159, ahead of the United States release. AMC theaters in New York City and Orlando, Florida aired an 11 MCU film marathon beginning on April 25, ending in a screening of Infinity War. The El Capitan Theater in Los Angeles had a similar marathon for the film's release, 160, home media. Avengers: Infinity War was released on digital download by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment on July 31, and on Ultra HD Blu-ray, and DVD on August 14. The digital and Blu-ray releases include behind-the-scenes featurettes, audio commentary, deleted scenes, and a blooper reel. The digital release also features a roundtable discussion between MCU directors the Russos, Jon Favreau, Joss Whedon, James Gunn, Ryan Coogler, Peyton Reed, and Taika Waititi. 161, in terms of home media sales. The physical versions of the film were collectively the top home media release of the week in which they were first released, 162. Despite being shot with IMAX cameras and released in IMAX theaters in the 1.90:1 aspect ratio. The home media release did not present the film in that aspect ratio, instead including a cropped 2.39:1 aspect ratio that was used for non-IMAX screenings, 163, 164. Joe Russo said they spent a long time trying to have the IMAX version on the home media. But since the IMAX Corporation has agency over that format, the situation was complicated. 165. He did not rule out the possibility that this version could be available at a later point. 164. Reception. Box office main article. List of box office records set by Avengers: Infinity War. Avengers: Infinity War grossed $678.8 million in the United States and Canada, and $1.370 billion in other territories, for a worldwide total of $2.048 billion. 4. Becoming the fourth highest-grossing film of all time, 166, 167, the highest-grossing film of 2018, 168, the highest-grossing MCU film, and the highest-grossing superhero film, 169. Its worldwide opening weekend of $640.5 million was the biggest of all time, beating The Fate of the Furious's 2017, $541.9 million, 153. It was later beat by its sequel, Avengers: Endgame, which grossed $1.222 billion in its opening weekend, 170. It was the fastest film to make $1 billion at the worldwide box office, doing so in 11 days to eclipse Star Wars: The Force Awakens' 2015 record of 12 days, 171. Also, in its second weekend, Infinity War passed $13.5 million from 4DX screens, which was the all-time record for the format, 155, on June 12, 2018. Avengers: Infinity War passed the $2 billion mark at the worldwide box office, becoming the fourth film to cross that milestone after Avatar, 2009, Titanic, 1997, and The Force Awakens, 167, crossing the mark in 48 days. It was the second fastest to that point, after Avatar's 47-day record, 172, with $140 million worldwide from IMAX, 173. The film is the third largest worldwide in the format. Behind Avatar and The Force Awakens, 166, and the largest for a Marvel film, 174. Deadline Hollywood estimated the net profit of the film to be $500 million, accounting for production budgets, P&A, talent participations, and other costs, with box office grosses, and ancillary revenues from home media, placing it first on their list of 2018's most valuable blockbusters. Avengers: Infinity War earned $106.7 million on its opening day in the United States and Canada, including $39 million from Thursday night previews, for an opening weekend total of $258.2 million. The Thursday night preview earning was the best for an MCU film, beating Avengers: Age of Ultron's $27.6 million, and the fourth best of all time, behind The Force Awakens, $57 million. The Last Jedi, $45 million, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, 2011, $43.5 million. Fandango reported that $14 million of the $39 million came from ticket pre-sales from the company. The opening day gross was the second best ever, behind The Force Awakens' $119.1 million. Its Saturday gross of $83 million was the best ever Saturday gross, beating Jurassic World's 2015, $69.6 million. The film remained number one in its second weekend, earning $115.5 million, which was the second-best second weekend ever after The Force Awakens, $149.2 million. Infinity War also surpassed $400 million in the weekend, doing so in 9 days, becoming the second fastest film to reach that mark. Again after The Force Awakens' 8 days, 155, in its third weekend, Infinity War remained number one at the box office, and became the second fastest film to surpass $500 million. Doing so in 15 days, behind The Force Awakens' 10 days. The weekend also saw its total domestic IMAX gross become $48.1 million, which was the highest for any MCU film. 169. The film's fourth weekend saw it come in second, behind Deadpool 2, 182, and in its fifth it finished third behind Solo: A Star Wars Story, 2018, and Deadpool 2, 183. By May 23, Infinity War surpassed $600 million, becoming the second fastest film to do so in 26 days. After The Force Awakens, 12 days, 184, it remained in the top 10 through its ninth weekend, 185, in the United States and Canada. It went on to become the fourth highest-grossing film of all time, 167, and the second highest gross. Other territories outside the United States and Canada, the film earned $382.7 million from 52 markets, opening number one in all, and became the number 2 opening internationally. Behind The Fate of the Furious, $444.2 million. IMAX contributed $18.5 million, which was the best opening outside of the US, Canada, and China. Surpassing The Force Awakens, $17.5 million, 187. All-time opening weekend records were set in South Korea, $39.2 million, Mexico, $25.4 million, Brazil, $19.1 million. India, for a Western release, $18.6 million, the Philippines, $12.5 million, Thailand, $10 million, Indonesia, $9.6 million, Malaysia, 187, Hong Kong, Vietnam, 188, Central America, Peru, Chile, Ecuador, Venezuela, Bolivia, South Africa, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and West Africa, 187, with many also setting opening day records. 189, France had the biggest superhero opening in the market with $17.7 million, 187, as did Denmark, Finland, Norway, Portugal, and Sweden. 188, the United Kingdom earned $8.9 million, which was the biggest MCU opening day and third highest opening day for a Disney film. 188, it would go on to earn $41.4 million for the weekend, which was the third highest of all time and the second highest Disney opening. 187, Argentina had the second highest opening day of all time, while Germany had the best superhero film opening day of all time, 188, ultimately earning $14.7 million, which was the best superhero opening ever. 187, many other European countries and the Middle East also broke superhero film records. 188, Japan had the second biggest opening for an MCU film with $9 million. 187, and Australia had the second highest opening weekend ever, with $23.2 million. Avengers: Infinity War remained number one in its 54 markets in its second weekend. 156, the $4.9 million opening day in Russia was the biggest of all time. However, there was some controversy with the film's release in that country. Originally, the Russian government ordered it to be released on May 11. But after a scandal, the government made concessions and agreed to let it premiere on May 3 with a condition that on May 9, during the Victory Day, only Russian films would be played in the cinema theaters. 190, Infinity War was also the first film in Russia to sell more than 1 million tickets in a single day, 191, and went on to gross $17.60 million in the market, a new opening weekend record. IMAX contributed $2.2 million in the market, which was also an opening weekend record, 156, in its third weekend. The film remained number one in a majority of its markets. Infinity War opened in China to $200 million, RMB 1.266 billion. Which was the second highest opening weekend in local currency behind The Fate of the Furious, $184 million and RMB 1.352 million. IMAX contributed $20.5 million, which was the third largest opening in China. 174, Infinity War also broke China's pre-sale record of 400 million yuan, $63 million, 192, in India. Infinity War became the first Hollywood film to earn over 2 billion rupees net, $29.7 million, 193, and also became the highest-grossing MCU film in the United Kingdom, 194, in its sixth weekend. The film became the highest-grossing MCU film in Japan with $33 million. The film became the highest-grossing release ever in Brazil, Indonesia, the Philippines, Central America, Bolivia, Venezuela, Latin America as a region, Mexico, Chile, Ecuador, Peru, Malaysia, Singapore, India, for a Western release, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, for a Western release, and Mongolia, 156, 174, 166, 173, the second highest in the Asia-Pacific region, for a Western release. Hong Kong, and South Korea, for a Western release, 173, and the third highest in China, for a Western release, 173. It is also the highest-grossing superhero film in many European countries, including the United Kingdom, 173. As of June 17, 2018, the film's top markets are China, $373.4 million, the United Kingdom, $95.7 million, and South Korea, $92.8 million, 196. The film is the third highest-grossing film of all time in territories outside the United States and Canada. 167. Critical response. Ashed the writers' and directors' ability to balance the large cast of characters, saying they, under the supervision of Marvel Films maestro Kevin Feige, acknowledge the traffic jam of egos and play it for laughs. 200. Owen Gleiberman of Variety concurred, stating, Infinity War is a brashly entertaining jamboree, structured to show off each hero or heroine and give them just enough to do, and to update their mythologies without making it all feel like homework. 201. Rolling Stone's Peter Travers said the film is too much of a good thing, and wrote, The Russo brothers have clearly never learned the concept that less is more. They've used the premise of an Avengers reunion to put on a fireworks explosion of action and laughs that won't quit. 202. Richard Roeper of the Chicago Sun-Times called it Marvel's biggest and most ambitious movie yet, but concluded, it's certainly not the best. However, there's plenty of action, humor and heart, and some genuinely effective dramatic moments. Roeper went on to praise the film's cast and Josh Brolin in particular, whom he called the film's most interesting performance. 203. Gleiberman called Brolin's motion capture performance supremely effective, and said, Brolin infuses Thanos with his slit-eyed manipulative glower, so that the evil in this movie never feels less than personal. 201. McCarthy wrote, Brolin's calm, considered reading of the character bestows this conquering beast with an unexpectedly resonant emotional dimension, making him much more than a thick stick figure of a supervillain. 200. Gleiberman also praised the film's action sequences, saying, Infinity War brims with tensely spectacular combat sequences. Even if the question of who's going to win each one has that extravagantly arbitrary could Mighty Mouse beat up Superman quality. 201. McCarthy called the scale of the action astonishing. 200. And Travers wrote, Avengers: Infinity War leaves viewers up in the air, feeling exhilarated and cheated at the same time, aching for a closure that never comes. 202. Josh Spiegel, also of The Hollywood Reporter, said the film takes a cue from the ending of The Empire Strikes Back in its supersized finale. This is the equivalent of Han Solo frozen in the carbonite, on steroids. 204. Criticized the film's reliance on other films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, saying, considered on its own, as a single, nearly 2-hour 40-minute movie, Avengers Infinity War makes very little sense, but conceded that it was never meant to be viewed or judged in isolation. 205. Richard Brody of The New Yorker agreed, stating, "The insubstantiality of the film isn't due to the infinite yet flimsy malleability of CGI gimmickry but, instead, to the dispersion of its drama throughout the many cinematic installations set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe." 206. Stephanie Zacharek of Time said, "It isn't really a beginning, but more of a middle or an end with a new piece of yarn attached. You need to have seen and internalized every one of the previous 18 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies to fully get it." 207. Justin Chang of the Los Angeles Times called it a brisk, propulsive, occasionally rousing and borderline gutsy continuation of a saga that finally and sensibly seems to be drawing to a close, but called its ultimate bid for catharsis unsuccessful, since the Marvel assembly line is not stopped from chugging ahead with its signature polished, mechanized efficiency. 208. Scott also criticized the action sequences, calling them tedious and predictable, and surely the most expensive parts of the movie. But the money seems less like an imaginative tool than a substitute for genuine imagination. 205. Likewise, Zacharek said, "There's no pacing in Avengers: Infinity War. It's all sensation and no pulse. Everything is big, all of the time." 207. Audience response. The ending of the film sparked various internet meme reactions. 213. Including one referencing Spider-Man saying he does not feel good as he disintegrates, which was applied to other things. 214. The website Did Thanos Kill Me was created for fans to see if they would have been spared by Thanos or not. 215. The ending also spawned the creation of the Reddit subreddit